Welcome back to Coding Commanders. I'm Commander Candy, and today we're going to start learning how to write application logic. I'm going to go over if statements, comparison operators, and logical operators. These are parts of conditional statements that are going to be crucial in writing the logic to your application. Again, the logic is the code that actually makes your application work. So I hope everybody's excited and ready to start writing some code.
Coding Commanders.
Today we are talking about if statements, logical operators, and comparison operators. We are going to start forming conditional statements. These are statements that will execute code only under certain conditions. Oftentimes when you are building an application, there's going to be code you only want to execute under certain conditions. What I want everybody to do now is take a second, think of some examples in an actual application when you might want certain code, a certain function, something that the application does to only happen in certain situations. It could be, a message that's only returned in certain situations, a calculation, whatever. Think of some examples, maybe pause the video, and then come back and I'm going to give you some of mine. For example, say you're making a game. If you pass the level, you're going to go on to the next level. If not, maybe you lose a life, maybe you repeat the level, whatever. The code's going to be different if you pass the level than if you don't pass the level. If you have a button, if you click on that button, something's going to happen. It's a condition. When you click on that button, maybe it's going to submit a form, maybe it's going to redirect you to a different page, something's going to happen. But if that condition isn't met, if you don't click with the button, the form won't be submitted. If you're using a paint application, if you click where the box is red, it's going to change the color that you're painting with to red. Applications, and really the world is basically made of like arrays, conditions, and loops. So we haven't gotten to loops or arrays yet. We will soon. Very exciting, but conditions are a big part of what makes everything work, right? If you're tired, you go to sleep. If you're hungry, you eat. There's conditions on when we want things to happen. Later on, we'll learn switch statements. We'll learn while loops. These are other ways that we can restrict code to only run under certain conditions. Okay, this is how the syntax for if statement is written. First, you'll have the word if. Then in parentheses, you'll write whatever the condition is. And right after this, we're going to go start looking at our logical and comparison operators so we can appropriately write that condition. Then we're going to have a bracket. Here's our starting bracket. Here's our closing bracket. And inside the bracket, it says code executed when the condition is true. When the condition's true, whatever code you have written in there is going to execute. This is like pseudocode to show you the syntax. Imagine your friend invites you to dinner. You're only interested in going out if it's Greek food. To write that in conditional would be like if $dinner equals Greek, echo, yes, I will go to dinner. So your friend asks you out to dinner, you ask her, what kind of food is it going to be? If she says Greek, you're going. Okay, I have a little bit of mood lighting going on again today. I just got back from the beach. It's a little bit of hot, but it's just for the segment. Then the lights turn back on. So now we're going to talk about logical operators. The first one is and. Now you could do and as A and D, just the word spelled out. Or you could do two ampersands. If you look on the 7 key on your keyboard, Shift 7, that's the ampersand. My handwriting isn't the best, so I will try to draw these as best as possible. There you go. So these are the two ways. And what and means is they both have to be true. So if we have $A and $B, in order for this condition to be satisfied, both $A and $B must be true. Can't just be one or the other, it's got to be both. The next one is or, and it, just like and, or can be spelled out, O-R, or you could do two pipes. Say we have $A or $B. In order for this condition to be satisfied, either $A or $B can be true. They don't both have to be true, one or the other. Both can be true, right? So $A and $B can be true, and this will still be true. $A can be true, and $B can be false. This will still be true. $A can be false, and $B can be true. So one can be true, or both can be true. The next one we're going to talk about is XOR. Now with XOR, if say you have $A XOR $B, in order for this to be true, $A could be true, $B could be true, but they can't both be true. With OR, both of them could be true. With XOR, it's one or the other. It can't be both, it can't be neither. The last one that we're going to look at is exclamation point, which means not. If the condition is not $A, that means that $A is not true. Okay, next we're going to do comparison operators. We can use those to compare things. The first one we're going to do is less than. And if you want to look at this chart while I discuss them, I will put the link. This table is on my website. So the first one is less than. My example, $silver is less than $gold. We're comparing those two variables, and we're saying that the value contained inside $silver is smaller than the value contained in $gold. The next one is greater than. $silver is greater than $gold, and we're saying the value that's stored in $silver is bigger than the value stored in $gold. Next, we have equals equals. $silver is equal to $gold. We're saying that $silver is equal to $gold. It's the same value. So maybe they both equal 3. Maybe they both equal 5. And the reason why we use 2 equals, not 1, is because 1 equal sets it equal, right? That's how you like initialize a variable. $silver is equal to 10, semicolon, right? Something like that. So when you're doing it as comparison operator, you have to do equal equal. If $silver is equal to $gold. Next we have equal equal equal. 3 equals. That means they're identical. That means it's the same value and the same data type. Next we have exclamation point equals. That means not equal. So $silver does not equal $gold. That less than greater than is another way to write not equal. I never really use it. $equal I think is more standard. But you can use that, just be consistent. Next we have less than or equal to. $silver is less than or equal to $gold. So if $silver is equal to 3 and $gold is equal to 3, that's true because it's equal. If $silver is 3 and $gold is 5, it's still true. The value contained in silver can either be less than the value contained in gold, or the value in silver can be equal to the value contained in gold. The next one is greater than or equal to. So $silver can either be greater than $gold, or it can be equal to $gold. Either one of those are true, we're good. Last, we have exclamation point equals. That means that they're not identical. It means either, $S is not equal to $G, or they're different types. Okay, now we're going to learn how to generate a random number. I was gonna do a video on functions first, but I got really excited to do some logic. So the next one, I'm gonna go over some more predefined functions. So we're gonna learn how to make our own functions. But there is, what a function is it's basically a block of code that does a specific function. So this rand, it's a predefined function. That means it's already built into PHP. You don't have to write the code for it. You just have to call it. And what we do is, it's called rand, and it's going to generate a random integer. Inside the parentheses, the 1, that's the minimum value for the random number. And 11, that's the max value. So this is going to generate a random number in between 1 and 11. Random numbers are a good way to test your code for if statements, make sure they work. If this is your first time joining me, I'm using a LampStack programming environment that we built using Oracle VirtualBox and Ubuntu Server. Check out my playlist. I'll link it in the video description if you want to replicate this environment. If right now you just want to play around in some code editor boxes, I'll put the link to PHP Fiddle in the video description as well. PHP Fiddle, you can go in there, you can type the code that I'm about to type and run it, practice along with me there. For those of you who are following along with my tutorials, let's go ahead and change directories to /var/www/html/projects/practice. Let's go ahead and list by space conditions.php. Okay, I got my starting PHP tag and my ending PHP tag. I'm ready to write some code. What we're going to do is, first I'm going to generate a random number between 1 and 10. Then I'm going to have a series of conditional statements, if statements. The first one is going to be if. After that, each statement's going to start elseif, right? So first it's say if the random number equals 5, this is going to happen. Else if this is going to happen. Else if, and you keep doing else if until you're done specifying what conditions. And then at the end, we're going to have a blanket else statement. What that says is, if no condition I specified is true, go ahead, execute this code. Even if you think you've specified every possible outcome, it's good to have a safety else statement in there. You never know what's going to happen, especially when user input is involved. Now let's generate a random number, and we're going to store this random number in a variable called rand num. Is going to equal a random number between 1 and 10, semicolon. Okay. Now we're going to do an if statement. If. Now we are going to put a condition inside these parentheses. Let's say $rand num is less than 5. When we have a code block, the code that we write that executes inside the brackets, we're going to indent. So if the random number we generate is less than 5, we are going to echo less than 5. Okay, next we're going to do our first else if statement. Else if rand num is greater than 8, let's go ahead and echo greater than 8. Rand num is greater than 5 and $rand num is less than 8. Let's echo in between. Else, we're going to echo WTF. Okay, now I'm going to escape into command mode. Capital Z to save and quit. Now go ahead, IF config, get your IP address if you're your PHP Fiddle, press run, and okay, so let's see this run. As you can see, the first time the number was less than 5. The second time it was WTF. Why? The random number that we generated was between 1 and 10. So here's the numbers. Let's look at our conditionals. Our first conditional statement specified what we wanted to happen when the random number is less than 5. So what numbers does that cover? 1 is less than 5, 2 is less than 5, 3 is less than 5, and 4 is less than 5. If that was less than or equal to, 5 would be included, but it's just less than, so we haven't covered 5 yet. Next we have random is greater than 8. So what numbers are covered there? 9 and 10 are both greater than 8. Finally, we have random is greater than 5 and random is also less than 8. So what numbers are greater than 5 but less than 8? 6 and 7 are both greater than 5 and they are also less than 8. So we never covered 8 and 5. So when the random number generated is equal to 8 or equal to 5, it's going to say WTF. If instead of having random greater than 5 and less than 8, we had random greater than or equal to 5 and less than or equal to 8, then we would have covered all possibilities. You might want to, add an else statement, redirect somebody, have them enter their input in again. Greater than 8? What the fuck? Less than 5? So you can see the random number, and with the different random numbers, we're generating a different statement. On my website, there are tons of examples of different types of conditions used in these conditional statements. So definitely take a look at that. There's a code editor box on the bottom, which basically does similar to what we did. Has some examples there if you want to look at it, and you can always, in these boxes on the bottom of my website, you can always just, highlight all the code, delete it, and start from scratch writing your own. Thank you for joining me. I hope you had some fun playing around with conditional statements and random numbers with me. I encourage you, look at my website. There are homework assignments. I suggest you do. Start playing around. Start building your own applications. You have enough tools with everything that I've taught you. You could go ahead and think of an idea, play with random numbers, play with your conditional statements, write some code that does stuff. If you have any questions, any suggestions on videos, lessons, blog articles you would like from me, please comment them below. I'm very responsive. If you let me know what you want, I'll be able to provide it. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, happy coding.